Coming up on Cronkite NewsWatch.
It's wildfire season and officials say this could be the worst one yet. Find out what is being done to prepare for the dry summer ahead.
Plus, there's a lot happening at our Capitol and with our legislators today. We'll have the latest on budget talks, campaign contributions, and the Republican National Convention.
And this. We met up with a woman on a very patriotic journey across the country.
In-depth, insightful, innovative. Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite NewsWatch. I'm Cassie Clapp.
And I'm Clarissa Tapia. Thanks for joining us.
Arizona is about to face what could be the worst fire season it's seen in generations.
Wildfires cost more than $1 million a year to battle, and lives can be lost in the process.
We have team coverage of the wildfire threats. Cronkite News reporter Jillian Idle is live in Washington with a look at how climate change may be a factor.
But we begin with Brittany Thomason live in downtown Phoenix with what the governor says the state is doing to prepare for this wildfire season.
A prolonged drought is expected to make it an even more dangerous season for wildfires. And that's prompted Arizona officials to take extra measures when it comes to fire prevention. It's nearly a year since last summer's Yarnell fire. And the fire season in Arizona is already underway.
We must do all we can, everything in our power, to protect our loved ones, including our brave firefighters.
The governor presented 2 new trucks to Black Canyon City and Globe, 2 cities at high risk for deadly fires.
Budget will appropriate $1.4 million to accelerate this prevention treatment on our high-risk lands.
That includes thinning 1 million acres of forest land, providing additional equipment such as helicopters, and more boots on the ground.
Last summer, our state forester's office has trained and certified over 150 fire officials.
The state will also use more inmate crews.
They go out with a state forestry crew boss and several Department of Corrections officers, and they're very well-trained crews, and they fight a lot of fire during the summer.
The inmate program also saves the state money.
When they're not fighting fire, they're out working in the forest and in the brushlands, thinning vegetation.
Which is important, since the fire season is expected to be extremely active. This map shows the fire potential in Arizona with the dark red presenting the greatest danger. But none of them compare to the Yarnell fire. The state's new measures are aimed at keeping it that way. In Phoenix, Brittany Thomason, Cronkite News.
I'm Jillian Idle in Washington, where climate change scientists say the Southwest United States will be at a greater risk of wildfires if we don't start taking steps to reduce emissions.
As temperatures increase due to climate change, the frequency of wildfire has been increasing because climate determines how much fire is on the landscape.
Gonzalez says that wildfires are a natural and necessary part of a forest ecosystem, but human activities are causing increased frequency.
Arizona is in an area of the United States that has experienced some very statistically significant warming in this past century due to climate change. And projections of the future, if we don't reduce our emissions from cars, power plants, and other human activities, is the climate could warm even more, and we risk even having more wildfire.
The panel talked about long-term solutions to wildfires with an eye towards the future.
By letting natural wildfires that are ignited naturally by lightning, letting them burn in areas that we've already identified as needing wildfire to reduce the amount of fuel so we reduce the risk of catastrophic damage.
Gonzalez says long-term that the hotter, drier conditions can put vegetation like the iconic saguaro cactus in danger, not to mention that wildfires are also putting structures and lives at risk. Reporting live in the nation's capital, Jillian Idle, Cronkite News.
The knives are drawn at the Capitol on how to carve up the state budget, but legislators say they are willing to compromise. Cronkite News reporter Kimberly Horiza was at the Capitol today and joins us live with an update. Kimberly?
It's been a long few weeks of trying to approve a state budget. Just yesterday, the House rejected amendments the Senate had passed. But now we are waiting for both sides to announce when and where they will meet to come up with a compromise. It's a $9.3 billion budget battle.
The major thing that's important about any budget is that it be fiscally sound, fiscally conservative, and then we actually finish it. The third thing we always do, but the question is when.
The budget cannot be approved until the majority of the House and the Senate both sign off. Right now, they are only about $15 to $20 million away from an agreement.
It's like in warfare, every yard can be a life for somebody.
The Arizona state budget will now move to a conference committee, which is a joint committee that consists of members from the House and the Senate to resolve the disagreements on the budget. This is the first time it's happened since 2006. Usually, leadership on both sides have a prior agreement that is similar to the governor's budget estimate.
When you don't have that agreement, then you have a situation where you have to go to the equivalent of marriage counseling between two spouses that are having a spat. So we're in spat mode right now.
Both the House and the Senate leaders say they are hoping for a reasonable compromise.
I'm cautiously optimistic. We are very, very close. We've been working with the governor's office. We've been working with the House. We're getting close.
There is still a chance that Governor Brewer could veto the whole thing, but she has not commented publicly on the issue. Live in the broadcast center, I'm Kimberly Hariza, Cronkite News.
As the election cycle starts ramping up, there's one change coming that has some people worried. The Supreme Court struck down overall limits to campaign contributions. That means someone can donate to as many campaigns, political parties, and PACs as they want. But the ruling today leaves intact the limit of how much they can donate. Senator John McCain released a statement today saying he's disappointed with the ruling. The statement also adds, I predict that as a result of recent court decisions, there will be scandals involving corrupt public officials and unlimited anonymous campaign contributions that will force the system to be reformed once again. With just over 2 years to go until the presidential election, Phoenix has been eliminated as a possible site for the 2016 Republican National Convention. There are still 6 cities in the running for the chance at the national spotlight, where Republicans will officially choose their presidential nominee. Phoenix was also a finalist to host the convention in 2012, which ultimately went to Tampa.
President Obama is continuing to push for a raise in the federal minimum wage. The current minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. The president would like to raise that amount to $10.10 per hour. Some members of Congress are against the idea, saying that while it would bring some workers out of poverty, it would also force companies to get rid of thousands of jobs.
Hundreds of people are expected to gather outside the Capitol this evening to protest a decision on medical marijuana. Cronkite News reporter Brittany Bade comes to us live from the Capitol. Brittany?
Cassie, that's right. I am here in front of the Capitol where protesters are just starting to gather in support of the medical marijuana research bill. The bill's many protesters are calling Senator Kimberly Yee's refusal to hear the bill undemocratic.
Medical marijuana's impact on post-traumatic stress disorder would be funded under House Bill 2333.
This is not taxpayer money. It's all the money that's generated by medical marijuana patients who pay $300 a year to have that medical marijuana card. That's where the money's coming from.
This bill is supported by the Department of Health and Human Services and the House of Representatives.
This was a vote of 55-2. This cut directly across party lines.
But this bill is now dead, because Senator Kimberly Yee, chair of the Senate Education Committee, would not allow it to be heard.
That is obstructionist. That's not what should be going on in a democratic society.
Protesters believe that Senator Yee is not going to budge on her decision, so they've been reaching out to President of the Senate, Andy Biggs, for his support.
This deserves a vote in the Senate.
Cecil says they have not heard back from President Biggs.
We tried contacting Senator Yee and the members of her education committee several times. We even showed up to their offices. But our phone calls were not returned, and the assistant said they were not available for comment. Tonight's rally is scheduled to take place at the top of the hour. Live at the Capitol, Brittany Bay, Cronkite News.
Preventing child sexual exploitation has been a top priority for Maricopa County Attorney General Bill Montgomery, and today he said there are stiff penalties for such predators. Montgomery and special agents from the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force said that one such predator, John Landrum Jr., was sentenced to 170 years after recently being found guilty on 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor.
The FBI stands together with the county attorney, with the chief of police in Phoenix, as well as all law enforcement, in working to find those who are exploiting our children, who are victimizing them, and bringing them to justice.
Agents also emphasized the importance of reporting any suspicion to Phoenix police and filling out a report at azica.com.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
You may think you're safe from earthquakes here in Arizona, but it turns out they're a lot more common than you think.
And the Arizona Science Center brought together a group of elite children today. We'll tell you what they're doing to promote education in math and science. You're watching Cronkite NewsWatch.
Imagine being stranded.
Needing 16,000 points for them.
From TV banks to computers.
Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
We have received word that Fort Hood, Texas reports an active shooter on the Army base. The Justice Department reports that the lone gunman is dead due to self-inflicted wounds and at least 14 are injured. But Fort Hood officials have not confirmed the reports. The base was the scene of a mass shooting back in 2009, where 13 people were killed and over 30 were wounded. It was considered the deadliest attack on a domestic military installation in history. We'll have more information on the situation as it comes in. And if you went on a trip today, you may have experienced issues with your GPS device. The National Weather Service Space Weather Prediction Center said an X1 solar flare could affect satellites and cause GPS errors. X-class means the most intense flare, while the number provides about its strength, with 1 being the lowest intensity. The flare will only last the day, so any issues should resolve by tomorrow. The 8.1 earthquake hit right before 9 p.m. last night, and as you can see, the tremor shook buildings and caused lights to flicker. The quake's epicenter was 12.5 miles deep off the northern coast of Chile. Iquique, 6 are reported dead, 2 from heart attacks. Arizona isn't part of the Ring of Fire, but our state has weathered lots of quakes from 1852 to 2011, some of which were quite substantial. The first quake recorded in Arizona was 6.2 in Flagstaff in 1906, the same year of the San Francisco quake. Then in 1910, another set-off tremors shook Flagstaff, registering a 6.0. Arizona has 6 fault lines running through it, the most active areas being around Flagstaff and Yuma. And believe it or not, we had a minor earthquake in the past 24 hours. There's growing support for STEM schools in the Valley. They focus on science and technology and engineering, and math. Cronkite News reporter Twelon Nugent went to the Phoenix Convention Center to see what these young geniuses are showing off.
Radio telemetry. Many of us have never heard of it, but 11-year-old Ty Pham Swan used it to collect data for his research project.
The radio tags that give off little beeps out to the radio transmitter thing. So the antenna, you can pick up where the snake is.
Ty wanted to know if snakes really are attracted to roads because of the heat, so he worked with his dad to find the answer.
My dad and I went out and looked for snakes, but the problem is there weren't that many.
The Arizona Science and Engineering Fair is bringing together more than 1,200 of the most innovative students from across the state. Bright young minds passionate about breaking the stereotype of science-related fields.
Historically, as a society, science and mathematics were things for men, not to be rude or anything, but I mean, for women, it's not something you see every day.
According to a report by the World Economic Forum, the United States ranks 49th in math and science education. That's why events like these are so important. The Arizona Science Center hopes that the Science and Engineering Fair will motivate kids to pursue education to help improve that ranking. In Phoenix, Twelon Nugent, Cronkite News.
The science competition is going on now until Friday.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
I still feel that this is important and I really believe in it.
This lady not only sings the national anthem on pitch, but has her sights set on singing it in every state in the country.
500 gallons of milk were donated today. Find out why.
And clouds have rolled into the valley within the past couple of hours. Will there be any rain with these storms? I'll tell you after the break.
NewsWatch is one of the really big things I will always remember for the rest of my life.
You're lugging around all of your equipment, you are doing all of the work, and that's what makes it so fulfilling to me.
Being an anchor, I think it's a privilege. I enjoy every moment of it.
Seeing your show on air, it is one of the most surreal feelings ever.
What if we could unlock every mystery?
We're at the beginning of a revolution.
That's a huge discovery.
That's never been done before, ever, anywhere.
No one feeds on curiosity like PBS. Give to your PBS station so future generations can keep asking, what if?
It's arguably a very difficult song to sing, but not for this New York woman. Reporter Hannah Lawrence met the national anthem girl yesterday when she was in Phoenix performing at the Orpheum Theater.
She's known as the Anthem Girl. She is traveling the country to sing the national anthem in all 50 states.
Janine Stang came up with her star-spangled idea when she was rushing to a performance.
I ran to the front of the line, I looked at the gatekeeper and I was like, you have to let me in, I'm the national anthem girl. And I remember in my head, I was like, that's a cool name.
And her mission to honor the 200th anniversary of our national anthem was born.
Was still there.
Stang has now sung in 23 states and has 12 more booked. That leaves only 14 more to go to reach her goal of singing in all 50 states by the song's birthday on September 14th. Stang was selected in a contest to sing last night in Phoenix at the Patriot Tour.
She just sang the song with such power and gusto that we thought, that's, you know, I want some of that. Let's get some of that on the stage.
Stang books, promotes, travels, and currently funds her own project. But she is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means she can take tax-deductible donations.
I'd never stop, even if nobody ever helps. I still feel that this is important and I really believe in it.
And when she isn't on stage, she runs a printing company, which created these cards to send to servicemen and women after they've been signed by the crowd. She wants to sing in 50 states, but it's still all one country.
Or the land. But no matter who you voted for, no matter what team you want to win, we're all one, and there's power when we're one.
In Phoenix, Hannah Lawrence, Cronkite News.
The Anthem Girl is on her way to sing in Utah tonight at the Grizzlies hockey game. You can follow the rest of her journey on Facebook or Twitter at The Anthem Girl.
For most of us, eating is something we don't think twice about, but hunger impacts 1 in 6 Americans. As Cronkite News reporter Juan Magana explains, Phoenix is one of 10 cities nationwide where local businesses are doing something to help build stronger bones.
Like many parents, Jessica Johnson has many mouths to feed.
10, 8, 5, 2.
She has 4 kids. She's like the 3.5 million people who get help from St. Mary's Food Bank every year. But until today,
this is really a call to action.
Families could only get a limited amount of milk. That's Arizona Diamondbacks president Derek Hall. He's donating to the Great American Milk Drive.
When you have 82,000 households in Maricopa County who don't know where the next meal is coming from, we need to help.
A great start not only from Hall, but also from Shamrock Farms, which donated the first 500 gallons in the milk drive. And the campaign has made it easy to donate a gallon of milk by simply texting to 27722 and the word milk. With that, people can donate $5 for a gallon of milk. Milk that Johnson can really use.
That's going to benefit a lot. Things I spend the most money on.
Johnson leaves happy knowing her kids will have milk for their cereal in the morning. In Phoenix, Juan Magana, Cronkite News.
The goal of the campaign is to deliver 2 million gallons of milk to food banks across the country. A total of 10 cities participated in today's drive.
Take a live look at the Phoenix area right now. We can see that there are a few clouds in the area, and even beyond the mountains, some rain showers are already falling. Taking a look at our satellite and radar, we can see that there's plenty of clouds and rain in the area right now. Throughout the day, the clouds have moved in and some rain showers as well. Those blue spots up there, a little bit of snow, elevations of 5,000 feet and above. In Flagstaff, we'll see about a trace of snow to 2 inches, so not that much, but a little bit is falling in Flagstaff right now. And with this storm that we've been tracking, there are a few warnings and alerts as well. There's a blowing dust warning for the southeast corner of our state, so be careful out there if you plan on driving at all. And looking at the what to expect with this storm, it's going to be a windy Wednesday, gusts up to 35 miles per hour in the valley and 40 miles per hour in northern Arizona. Taking a look at those wind speeds, 17 right now in Phoenix, 20 in Tucson, 23 in Winslow right now, 18 miles per hour in Flagstaff. And moving into the highs that were forecasted today, we usually see about 81 degrees, but today we only got 69. Tucson, same at 69. Flagstaff, you were at 41 today, and Prescott, you were at 50 today as well. And moving into the 5-day forecast, we're going to see those clouds throughout the rest of the week. They'll be out of here by Sunday, back up into those 80s for the week. So I'm Jane Purvis, your Cronkite weather.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
The D-backs were back at it against their Bay Area rivals, looking for their first win of the season. And soccer is back in the Valley. I have the details. Sports is next.
A tradition of excellence, integrity, and innovation.
The second I came in, I fell in love with the program.
The Cronkite School propels students into the new era of journalism.
Students are learning.
Digital, entrepreneurial, and collaborative labs encourage students to shape the future of the industry, and the industry is watching.
We have come here to meet with students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism.
The Cronkite School, the journalism school for the digital age.
It hasn't exactly been the ideal start for the Diamondbacks. 3 losses on 2 continents to 2 division rivals. And not one victory. The Diamondbacks trying to finally get back in the win column against the Giants. The D-backs were down early 4-2, but it gets interesting in the 4th. Matt Cain throws over to first, and it appears he's picked off A.J. Pollock. Umps call him safe, and Giants manager Bruce Bochy uses his lone challenge on the call, but after the review, the call is upheld, and it would affect the game a few pitch later. A pass ball gets by Buster Posey. Posey flips it to Cain. Out. No, safe. The umps call Pollock safe. It looks like he's definitely out, but since Bochy had already used this challenge, there was nothing that he can do, and obviously Diamondback fans are not objecting. But to the bottom of the 6th, down a run, Pollock with a laser to the left field gap, a ground rule double, ties the game, and the D-backs would tack on another run, and they'd come back to defeat the Giants 5-4 and collect their first win of the season. And the playoffs are far from the D-backs' mind, but for the Coyotes, the postseason is what these final games of the year are all about. Phoenix is neck and neck with the Dallas Stars for the final spot in the Western Conference. So the Yotes need every point they can get. Yotes taking on the Winnipeg Jets at home. First period, Jets on the power play. Captain Andrew Ladd, top shelf, beats Thomas Greiss. Winnipeg up 1-0. Now early into the second period, the Yotes with some fine artwork. Antoine Vermette finds Zbynek McCulloch for the tying goal. And into overtime we go, tied at 1. Ladd once again in the shootout, gets it past Grice for the second time of the night, and that's all they would need. The Jets win 2-1 in the shootout, and with Dallas winning, the Yotes and the Stars are tied for the final wildcard spot, but Dallas currently holds the tiebreaker. Yotes get back at it tonight against the LA Kings. And now to basketball. The men's Final Four was set over the weekend, and now the women are ready to go. The two matchups in Nashville are penciled in. The first game on Sunday, undefeated Notre Dame will take on Maryland, who upset Louisville last night to reach its first Final Four appearance in school history. And the second matchup, the perennial powerhouse UConn will take on Stanford, who defeated North Carolina in its game last night. The undefeated Huskies are looking to win back-to-back titles and their 9th championship in school history. The title game is slated for next Tuesday at 5:30. And the fierce rivalry between the U.S. and Mexico on the pitch will be renewed tonight right here in the Valley at University of Phoenix Stadium. An expected crowd of 50,000 will be on hand for the final international friendly for both countries before they get ready for the World Cup in June. With attention so big for this match, reporter Esteban de Silva found out the buzz for soccer just might be an everyday thing.
Apple pie and soccer? That doesn't sound right, but soccer could be on its way to becoming America's new favorite pastime. Youth soccer enrollment is not only up in Arizona, but for the first time it has surpassed youth baseball enrollment nationwide.
When I came here about 10 years ago, we had about 22,000 members in metropolitan Phoenix registered as competitive soccer players, and now we have over 30,000, so you've seen the jump.
The fact that American kids can now see big European superstars like David Beckham making it big here in the U.S. could be responsible for the recent hike in youth participation.
When I was a kid, we didn't have soccer on TV. You watched Telemundo and played, but nowadays you can catch games, and all the kids in the club, you ask them, do you watch games? Oh yeah, we watch the MLS, or we watch English Premier League, and they all have favorite teams. And
whether it's soccer's new TV presence or simply a love for the game, one thing is certain: the momentum of youth soccer programs doesn't appear to be slowing anytime soon.
That's all for Cronkite NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.